Hey! Word of warning before I get started. I have a cold. I'm gonna cough. If you don't like that, just click off the video. On to the subject matter. If you've been living under a rock for the past month or so, let me bring you up to speed. Automobilista 2 has received unlicensed NASCAR DLC. Gen 7 cars, 1992 Cup cars, 1987 Cup cars, adding to an already massive roster of content in the game, which has pretty much become over the past 5 years a spiritual successor to Project Cars 2. Some people like the engine, some people don't, but you can't deny it. This game is packed full of content and is pretty good value, even though the price is a little steep. You know, it's a couple $100s to get everything, as opposed to 80 to 120. Now, as a sim racer, as a NASCAR fan, as an amateur oval racer, one of the things that's really frustrated me about watching other sim racing content creators is when this content came out, a lot of people just rushed to put videos out there. Here's me doing a 5-lap race at Daytona, 10 laps of Pocono, 20 laps of Daytona. They run with the default setup, the AI is turned down, there's no caution flags or anything, they just do a sprint race, and they go, yeah, it sounds great, the liveries look good, and cool. Dude, that's not a review. You rush to get content out there. So what we're going to do today, full distance Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona, 36 car grid, max AI, all the rules turned on, built setup. Let's see how well this game actually handles the full NASCAR experience and not some kid who quickly bought the content and did a 10-minute quasi-review video doing a sprint race at Daytona. Let's see how well this game actually handles NASCAR racing. And I'll talk a little bit about the nuances of the draft package and stuff like that as we race, the pit strategy, things like that. And essentially, this is going to be a let's play slash full race slash review of this content to see how it stacks up. Cool? Cool. Here's all my rules. AI mistakes turned off, 120% AI, 36 car grid. Rules turned on. Let's actually bump up the pit speed limit to 70. Let's get going. Hopefully I nailed that intro without coughing or stupid speaking mistakes. I'm not the greatest speaker, you know. I tend to fumble over my words a lot. We're using a setup from, I believe, guy's name is the Old Man 1955. He's got the world record. Remember, in AMS2, you can go into time trial and steal people's setups, which is pretty cool. I've always liked that feature about Madness Sims. Until they turn the servers off and you can't even enter time trial mode, but we're not at that point yet. 68 mile an hour pit road speed limit. We're running in miles an hour today. Although the fuel itself is going to be in liters. I know. Interesting. Already we got some issues here. There's 2 cars spawned inside each other. It's not a great look. It says this car supports this track supports way more than 36 cars, but apparently the pits don't. Cool. I'm going to go load our setup and our strategy here. It's going to be Gen 7 Daytona R. NASCAR rules mandate you must start with a full tank of fuel anytime you go out on track, just for parity. So we'll do that here. Our pit strategy, I built one yesterday for the 1992 failed race that I tried to do. We're just going to use that. It's not the Pepsi 400, it's the Coke Zero 400 now. For whatever reason, it lets us load the strategy I built with a completely different car and let me put more fuel in than is even allowed in the fuel tank, so that's interesting. But Madness Engine Sims, you can typically double and triple stint the tires because they just don't really wear. So we're just going to take fuel only during the stops. We won't fix any of the damage. That'll be our pit setup. Now, I'm not going to qualify because I kind of like the viewing experience of starting from the back and weaving through the pack. It lets us analyze what the pack's doing in the draft and the pack dynamics that are in Madness Engine Sims. So I won't put an actual qualifying lap down. What I will do is I do want to practice a pit stop. Because I don't like going into racing sims unprepared, you know, and this is something that actually kind of frustrates me about other sim racing content creators. There's way too many guys out there who make videos not prepared. You know, controls not set, haven't practiced a pit stop, don't know where the pit exit line is, don't have certain controls set, might have said that already, and just kind of make light of the fact that they're not prepared, and kind of lean into self-depreciating humor a little too much. I don't want to do that here. So we're going to practice a pit stop just to make sure that if we do have to pit under green flag conditions, we don't make an ass of ourselves. Just eyeballing it, the speeds do seem realistic. Full tank of fuel, 179 mile an hour. That's more or less what they run in qualifying trim. Okay. We have almost no brakes. Which makes sense. It's a plate track. So even though I'm at full brake pedal travel, couldn't get the thing slowed down in time, so let's try again. Again, the setup's fine. It's essentially a meted leaderboard setup. Ride height's optimized, gearing's optimized. Off screen, I went and made sure I opened the grill bit, increased the final drive so I had a bit more gear in the draft, which obviously we're going to run most, if not all, the race in the draft with other cars. My initial thoughts are running this thing on a super speedway. It's pretty close. It's more or less on par with iRacing and NASCAR 25. Force feedback feels good. I really don't have much, if any, complaints. Alright, let's try breaking at the Sunoco sign here. And yeah, this thing does not stop. Looking for a pit speed of 70. 68, rather. And you know what? That was pretty good. So, our reference point for pit stop braking is going to be the Sunoco sign. Solid. Anyway, skip to the end of the session. We'll pretend we had our qualifying time disallowed because I said something insensitive on social media, which is quite realistic. We're going to roll off 36 here. I do have automatic control during rolling starts turned on. Just because I kind of don't mind the arcade-style portion of that. It's going to be Blake Landon on pole. These are all fake drivers. I don't have the skin pack off Overtake because I actually don't mind the fantasy skins they made for the Gen 7 cars, so we're just going to run with that. And off we go. Everyone spawn on the backstretch just like NR03 at Daytona. 45 lap fuel window. Got our race setup loaded. What I will do is I'm actually going to turn down the fuel map. Get a bit more mileage out of this thing. Our strategy selected. I think we're good. Let's go race. Weird little spawning glitch there. Pretty typical of Mad Descent stuff. But yeah, here's Daytona with 36 cars on the grid. We don't have a pace car leading us to the green flag. Is that a big deal for me? Not really. If I want, you know what? If I wanted the true 125% NASCAR sim experience, honestly, I'd just boot up NASCAR 03. Or NASCAR 25. But this works. I'm not under control right now. It's all the AI driving my stuff. We can still pull up things like the in-car management system. But anyway, here we go. Coke Zero Sugar 400 at Daytona. Run on, let's pretend it's a Monday afternoon. Off we go. Red line here is, at least in this package, 7,700 RPM. And even though it says there's 37 cars on the grid, on the top left, for whatever reason it counts the pace car in the standings, so there's 36 of us. Trust me. I set the race up. And off we go. I won't talk throughout this whole thing. I'm going to let the race play out and then kind of interject at certain pockets. But here we go. About 2 hours of driving, I anticipate. Already the AI's doing that very ISI-like thing of checking up in the tri-oval. The pack is already starting to get split up, which it really shouldn't be. So two things let's talk about immediately as we get up to speed here. This is not something you can probably notice, but it's something I've noticed in test races, just trying to get this thing set up and dialed in. The AI in both ISI motor sims and as well as Madness engine sims cannot draft with each other. There's no draft model for the AI on AI violence in this game. Only the player can benefit from the draft. So the way the pack kind of plays out, the pack dynamics, are a little bit unrealistic. It's not like NASCAR 03 where you can actually physically see the AI drafting with each other and benefit from being the car behind. That doesn't really happen in stuff like R-Factor or stuff like Madness engine sims. So it kind of messes up super speedway racing just a bit. And by proxy, they don't have the kind of specialized code that NASCAR 03 and IndyCar Racing 2 have, where they understand the benefit of riding in line with someone to benefit from the draft. So a lot of times you'll see in this pack, and this is the same thing in NASCAR 21 Ignition, same thing in R-Factor mods, the AI don't understand to just hang out and be complacent and sit in someone's toe because that makes them go quicker. They'll start making lateral moves left and right like this green car in front of us here for basically no reason. You know, there's really no rhyme or reason as to what they're doing, right? When you watch, especially in this Gen 7 car, what is going on here? In this Gen 7 car in real life, the draft is so powerful that typically what happens is every driver just kind of hangs out in a single file line or in two rows, both to benefit from the draft and save fuel, because these cars are super, super draggy. Whereas with this AI, again, ISI motor stuff, Madness stuff, they just don't think like that. That's not built in anywhere in their code to just hang out and ride and benefit from the draft. And they also tend to get spooked at certain points, which is why I'm getting these massive runs on the pack. This is not from the draft. This car hits around 195, 196 in the draft. If I'm rapidly catching people, what's really happening is that they kind of have road course brain, even on an oval. So occasionally they'll feel like they're getting squeezed somewhere. And panic and hit the brakes or lift and lose like 20 or 30 mile an hour. Because they essentially think this is just a really simple road course. And are approaching it like, oh, there's a corner coming up and I gotta give way. And you see that playing out here in front too. They work too hard to avoid an accident without understanding that, hey, this is still a super speedway, you gotta keep your foot in it, otherwise you're just gonna lose the draft. And of course, they also don't have the draft. So it's just very, very weird how the pack dynamics play out in front of you. But max difficulty with the built setup, it does look to the untrained eye kind of okay. Another AI panic and wiggle and check up again. That's road course brain right there. I'm just trying to play it honest right now and keep the car clean, because another thing I found when testing this is that, unlike real life, which these things are tanks and they literally shove people around the racetrack during the closing stage of a race, it's really, really easy to pick up damage in this game with this car. And bumping someone a little too hard gives you 2 or 3% damage on the front bumper and destroys your aero. Which, again, real life, that does not happen with these cars. So I have to drive super conservative. Gotta make smart decisions behind the wheel. Can't force passes. Can't really cooperate and push the AI, that sort of thing. I do kind of like what this looks like right now, though. We're all kind of strung out. But it's not really a natural occurrence. It's just sort of what happened when the individual AI driver ratings come into play. Because that's a thing in this game as well as stuff like Project Cars 2, right? Now remember, we did turn the fuel mix down a bit, which is not a setting in these actual cars. So we're kind of down on power compared to the AI. But it's for a good cause. It's part of the race strategy. And you can see up ahead here, about a corner ahead of us. We're not catching them via the draft. There's just cars getting clustered up. And then jumping on the brakes. This has nothing to do with the draft right now. This is their road racer AI jumping on the brakes on a full throttle track and making them lose track position. I'm just being super, super careful to protect the front nose. One car on the apron there, that's not good. That is not legal. So we're up 6 spots. Again, more AI cars getting caught up here for no reason. This has nothing to do with the draft again. In fact, we're actually not running that quick at all. These cars hit around 180 to 181 in qualifying trim by themselves. So if I'm doing 181 and catching people, it's probably not a good sign. This at least looks realistic, though. I don't mind this out my front window right now. And with Madness Engine Sims, when you go above 100%, the AI do receive a bit of a horsepower boost. So that's kind of keeping them on par with my built setup that I stole from the time trial leaderboards online. About a quarter of the way through this fuel run. I think this race is going to go by quick. And again, more AI checking up. Road Racer brain. Had nothing to do with the draft. We're seeing more of it here, too, in turns 3 and 4 ahead of us. Again, I think the force feedback feels pretty good. This is really no different than iRacing or NASCAR 25. Up to 17th now. We've passed, what is that, 20 cars? Really not doing anything. And there are cars braking on a straightaway now. A little odd. Down to 170. Why are they all braking? I mean, we're not even at 180 yet. Well, this is not good. The pace has actually slowed so far. Like, significantly. And now it's sped back up again. A little odd. Well, I'm glad the pace has picked up. Or not. We got cars braking in the lead pack. Again, just trying to keep the bodywork safe. Want to make it to the end here. I kind of got fucked over by the pack dynamics there, but I was just playing it safe. Yeah, there's really no rhyme or reason. When you actually watch what's playing out in my front windshield here, there's no rhyme or reason as to why cars are making certain moves. They sometimes jump on the brakes or kill all their momentum at random. They don't benefit from the draft. It's all just random. Really random, you know? More cars checking up out of the corner. Really checking up bad there. Car got shoved into the wall. That was at least the most realistic thing we've seen all race. That's plausible. That happens. Yeah, we're down to like 170 right now. What the fuck is going on? Chasing down the fake Kyle Larson car in front of us. That's actually a nice looking livery, all things considered. Whoever did the skin work for these cars deserves a race, in my opinion. I think these look fucking awesome for fictional schemes. The skin guy, their skin guy is really good. More somewhat randomness going on in front of us. In fact, that's going to cause a checkup, and now we're just going to shoot by like 5 cars at a time. Without the draft, too, right? And that's how you can kind of tell something's a little funky with this game. Is that you are just as fast without draft help as you are in the draft, because the AI cars don't benefit from it. So if you want to run this race like super fair and put yourself on the same level as the AI cars, you almost have to intentionally botch the setup. Kind of a weird tidbit. Anyway, we are running 6 now. We do have some help from behind. Cars are hitting each other on the straightaways when they really shouldn't be. Try and challenge the lead pack here. Again, this is really not how this type of racing plays out. Not in these cars for sure. You don't have little micro packs here and there. These cars are so fucking draggy and the draft is so strong that everyone just kind of stays bunched up. Even the bad cars, you know, even cars from underfunded teams can hang with the main pack and challenge for a shot at the win, which is why this racing is so crazy in this era of car. Cars in the wall. That almost caused a wreck there. this weird, like, 4-wide pack when there's more than enough racetrack for everybody. Gonna go low here. No, I'm not. Lap 22 is 60. We're actually making good time right now. Been driving for about 15 minutes. AI mistakes I turned off because, I mean, you're already seeing how much they check up and ruin the pack racing. I didn't need that to be any worse than it already is, right? And we've got a run on the leader here. Look at this. And just like that, we've got the lead. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn down the fuel mix, which is not something you can do in these cars. That's not a thing. See if we can stretch the fuel any further. That might turn it down too much, though. Might be too down on power. Yeah, it's too down on power. Try again. Okay, we can run normal fuel mix. That's fine. Man, those AI get super aggressive. Pulling up to your back bumper in the draft. Which, for them, is not even a draft. And we've got the lead. So, can they catch me now that I'm a single car without help? Let's see. Oh, they kind of can. I'm gonna guess they've been given a horsepower boost of some kind. But they also can't stop fighting with each other, so... that's an issue. What happens if I turn the fuel mix up to rich? How quick can we go? I'm doing 187 by myself. Wow. 188. Now they're just not catching me. So to run these AI realistically, you pretty much have to handicap yourself. Well, this is a little lopsided. I'm bored. I'm officially bored. Nothing's happening. I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens during the first round of pit stops. See what the AI's strategy is. I don't have the track map pulled up. We are approaching quarter race distance. We're making good time. I just wish it was a little more entertaining. We're 4 seconds up, so we can turn the fuel mix down. The non-existent fuel mix setting in these cars. Try and get a lap or two more out of it. And we'll at least see on the Delta when people start going into the pits. Which should be pretty soon. Because I don't think the AI can switch between fuel mix modes. Now, turning down the fuel flow, we've lost about a second on our lap time, but the AI is still not actually catching us. In fact, we're slightly pulling away right now. Yeah, we're pulling on normal fuel flow about 3 to 4 tenths per lap. It's not a lot, but it's enough to justify staying here. %25 distance as of right now. How many liters are we burning per lap? 15.2 at the line. 1.4 liters a lap. That's really not bad. And the pack's coming, but they're not really making any meaningful ground. And we got cars pitting now. Now, I don't think we'll lap them, but you never know. And the lead pack is pit. Alright, let's check our pit strategy here. Next page. No tires, full fuel, no damage. We're good. And you probably figured this out already, but they pit kind of early. We still have, at least when pit stop started, close to 10 liters in the tank. Now we might even stretch this thing to lap 50, which is crazy because, I don't know, the fuel estimate's correct. Showing 50 laps. I was thinking the fuel estimate was a lot more conservative, but I guess not. Couple more laps till we got a pit. And ideally, I'd like to do it before I catch this pack, so I don't waste any time, you know? More cars pitting. Wow, the Delta's really going crazy. Holy shit. Couple more laps till we can go in. And you know, I probably should have went in that lap so I don't catch these guys, but it is what it is. Oh my god, there's cars phased inside of each other. What the fuck? This is not optimal. There they go. Let's pit now. I don't want to deal with these guys. Brake at the Sunoco sign. That was a little bit of a conservative pit stop. I could have done better. No tires, no repairs. Pretty easy one. Just take some fuel. And off we go. Limit's 68. And we're clear. Stint 2. You know what? Let's turn up the field map. Clear track ahead of us. Let's capitalize on that. And we do have a pack catching us. So they're in sync with us, but... we'll just turn up the fuel flow and check out. Wonder if I can lap the whole field this stint. We might be on pace for it. Let's try. We might be able to. So I guess we've been on like lap 90. Does that sound right? Dude, I'm so fucking bored. I'm so sorry. But I mean, this is why I did this, right? You know, a lot of sim racing content creators, anytime a new piece of content comes out, doesn't matter what series, they'll do like 5 laps, 10 laps, a quick race against the AI that's even shorter than most online fixed setup races. And be like, yeah, it drives good, AI's fun, cool. But I don't do that on my channel. I like to give stuff a thorough shakedown. I like to actually play the game and get familiar with certain cars or certain tracks and how it works before I start putting out content. So, okay, if AMS2 has NASCAR, alright, we'll do a NASCAR race in it. And what we got was really just 20 laps of a pack that didn't really look or feel or behave like a NASCAR super speedway race. And then once you get to the front, you can just check out by turning up a non-existent fuel mix switch in the cockpit. And I could have done like a video essay, right? But I like, because it's me and people think I'm contrarian and antagonize sim devs a lot, I feel like doing a video in this format of just, here's the full raw and edited race and just what happened in it, kind of shields me from criticism of, well, you just hate the game, or you just put it under certain circumstances that you knew it would fail. Here you can see, no I didn't. Here's all my options. Here's me attempting to run an authentic race in your authentic racing simulator, and then running the race, and here's what happened. Not a lot of sim content creators do that. And I know I have a small channel, and people have probably lost interest in me, and the algorithm doesn't pick me up like it used to, but sometimes it's just important to get that stuff out there, right? $100 laps to go. 99 to go, I should say. We are now 14 seconds ahead. So max difficulty, just with a decent setup that optimizes ride heights, the AI can't catch you. Like, we're more or less running at 130 or 140% pace right now. Again, thank you to, I believe his username is TheOldGuy1955 for the setup. It's public, it's on the time trial leaderboards. You can just load into the time trial challenge. Press the load setup button and it'll give you a setup. So I just adopted that from the qualifying trim. And I didn't do anything drastic, right? You know, you open the grill so the engine doesn't blow up. You lengthen final drives so you can hit higher revs in the draft and not hit the limiter. You pack it full of fuel, and that's it. And I gotta be honest with you guys, I'm so bored that I'm like checking text messages every few laps on the backstretch, which is why I'm weaving. Gotta think of something to talk about to make the back half of this video a little more interesting. I've done good, I haven't coughed a lot, even though I'm sick. And we may be able to triple stint these tires, just looking at it here. It's kind of cool. And here's something kind of wild. I'm almost as quick on my own as I was in the draft. I'm only a 10th off my session best right now. That's not good. Now 17 seconds up on P2. It's about a third of a lap here. We genuinely may lap the field. Almost to halfway. Definitely had more fun doing the IndyCar race I did a couple of years ago in this game. Just because Indy, I don't want to say it's trickier to drive, but you're just doing a little more each lap. You're shifting. The car's really trimmed out. This is just a brick. A brick that sits at 188 mile an hour the entire lap. There's no real true handling dynamics. You can kind of feel it wiggle around under you, but it's so high downforce compared to an Indy car that, like, you're not fighting it. There's not really a technique here. It's just in, out, in. Or out, in, out for every corner. And we are starting to catch the pack, or at least the tail end of it. And we are probably going to be able to triple stint the tires, just looking at it here. If not, run the whole race on them. It's going to be close. And I can feel the car kind of losing the nose in the center and having to put a tiny bit more wheel input into it. But it's not egregious. "30 seconds up on second place. I could probably turn down the fuel mix, but there's really no need right now. It's going to be the same amount of stops for everybody. Halfway home as of right now, we've already covered 200 miles. Oh, no, wait. I can't fucking read. Lap 77. Never mind. Getting ambitious there. Now we're at halfway. So one of the things you've probably noticed, or two of them actually, watching this video. One, I do not use a radar app. Two, I do not use a spotter. This is contrarian and kind of egotistical. You don't need them. You really don't need them. If you have mirrors on at all and you have decent spatial awareness and can kind of infer where people are, dude, you don't need a radar, you don't need a spotter. It's immersive to have a spotter, but if you've been sim racing as long as I have, you don't need one. You should be good enough and strategic enough in a pack that you don't actually need it. And in the dirt racing world, mirrors are actually banned, as are spotters, so you don't have any of that in a real car. With a mirror and common sense, you can get through a pack. And it does kind of annoy me, like, to see comments on certain sims, if they don't ship with a radar, being like, oh my god, why does this game not have a radar? Or, I need a spotter to tell where people are. No, you don't. You're bad at the game. Again, that's just my opinion. But a mix of one mirror, either optional look left or look right buttons, and just sound, right? Like, this isn't a game from the 90s. You can hear when someone's next to you. You can drive solely based on that and really not have a problem. And sometimes, like, I do go down the sim racing rabbit hole and watch really obscure YouTubers. Like, not ones with a ton of subs, but, you know, guys with 1,000 or 2,000 subs who just upload themselves doing, like, online races and stuff. And it's actually quite sad, even with mirrors and a radar and a spotter, how bad their decision-making is. And it's like, dude, if you have 3 different ways to tell where people are around you and you're still making contact with people, dude, like, nothing's gonna help you. You're just fucking bad. And I've actually seen that with Project Motor Racing YouTubers, because there are guys that cover the game. You know, I know it's not a whole lot of people playing it, but there are guys that cover it. And when the game launched, they're all just like, man, we need a radar. And then I'd come back to their channels after the radar update got released and watch some of their content and just be astounded that, like, okay, dude, they gave you a radar. You're still getting in wrecks. You still made dumb decisions. This has nothing to do with the radar. And we are catching up on our first back markers right now. Look at the speed. Look at the tow we're getting. Holy shit. Yeah, you can tell the AI are just not affected by the draft. 196 we blew by them at. Getting called from a spam number right now. Nope. Don't want to hear from you. And that is our fast slap of the race. Not surprisingly. We have an issue here, though. I really don't want to pass this pack and get caught with them. So I'm going to turn down the wick. Save some fuel and try not to pass them. Extend our fuel range a bit, because now we're at the point where we're 41 seconds up, right? Oh, this sucks. Now people are catching us. Uh-oh. Why are they not passing me? Dude, I'm doing 173. Come on now. I almost wonder if it's not the worst time to pit. Just don't want to deal with these people right now, right? Yeah, let's pit. We have 2 stops left anyway, right? Sunoco sign. Limit's 68. Guys posing with tires even though we don't take tires this stop. It's great. And now we're out of traffic. Perfect. And we are still the leader. So, we do have 1 pit stop left. Probably around lap 120. And we're 4 seconds ahead. So basically how this is going to work out is when I catch the pack again, I'll pit again. That'll be the final time we pit, and we just cruise to the end. Not a particularly thrilling race here. Some cars on different pit cycles. Interesting. Not super concerned about it. More cars merging. That's to be expected. Not looking forward to what these guys will do in front of me. Bit concerned. And yeah, they're all oddly clustering like that again. I guess now that we're running in a pack of cars, we can turn the fuel mix down. Really don't want to be stuck in this pack. For obvious reasons. AI's a little dumb and unpredictable, and there's cars merging ahead, so let's get way out of it here. Let's be smart. Oh my god, they're fucking merging through each other. What the fuck? So that was their way around AI pit exit nightmare stuff. They're just like, let's not actually make the AI avoid each other on pit exit. Let's just, like, ghost them. What's going on here? Everyone checked up again? Deep into pit cycles now. More cars merging. I'm terrified because I don't know what's going to happen, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to go through each other or if there's going to be a wreck. It's kind of messed up. We're in a big pack of cars right now. Look how slow we're going, too. I really want to get through this. Dude, we're doing 150 right now. What the hell? Cars are just fucking stopping, you know? See, this right here is okay. I can deal with this. But it only lasts for, like, fleeting seconds at a time. Also, you can't tell from the footage at all, but their Daytona has, like, Texas circa 1997 style banking. The bottom lane is, like, 1 degree less banked than the top 2 lanes. And I can feel it going into one. It almost destabilizes the car. A little odd. We're just flying around people now with no help. Yeah, like if you notice next to me, the car beside me is not catching the yellow 74 car in the draft. And I'm pulling away from both of them by myself. The AI doesn't draft in this game. That was a little spooky. Seems we're almost by this cluster of cars, though, which is good. Another car randomly slows up for no reason. Alright, let's turn the fuel mix up. Get out of this shit. Again, sounds good, graphics are good, force feedback's good. I don't mind how it drives. There's things I'd improve upon. It does an AMS2 thing where the tires are pretty peaky. In a realistic way, it's not as bad as iRacing used to be, but they're still pretty peaky. But then you actually go race this thing, you know? Not hot lap, or not do 10-minute, 10-lap quickbait videos for your YouTube channel. You actually try and race the game as a racing simulator, and I'm lapping the fucking field at Daytona. Like, come on now. And you know what? I tried this thing online on launch day, and there's an issue with drafting and pushing physics too. You know, these cars, a big part of this racing is you sit and ride in a giant pack, and then during the final stage or the final segment of the race, or nearing the end of the stage, I should say, you push people like fucking mad and hope they clear a lane in front of you. Now, when you try and push people online in this game, not just AMS2, but PCARS 2 as well, the Madness Engine physics don't transfer momentum from one car to the other properly. So if you're in the middle groove or the high groove here at Daytona, and there's a single car on the bottom, and you and your buddy are hooked up on the top lane, and you push them, the momentum doesn't transfer properly, and you can't pass the car on the low side. So you just slam into the back of the guy, and it's almost like a mix of anti-griefing and just suboptimal collision code takes over. And instead of both of you going faster and tandeming and passing the car, you know, even though you're on the high line, tandeming slows the pushing car down. So you just kind of stall out. So the races I've done online in this Gen 7 car, whoever is first on the bottom after lap 1 wins the race. Because you can't get around people on the outside. Unless the first place car is fucking terrible, which some people are in this game. But if you have like 4 people up front who know what they're doing and have a decent setup, not even like a leaderboard set, but just it can hit decent speeds in the draft, first car on the bottom will just hold everyone off all the time. Because you can't actually push people in this game. And it's the same thing in PCARS too. Me and my old buddy, we tried doing a race at Daytona in the Ford Fusion stock cars, and I think I even recorded it at one point. I'm pretty sure I recorded us, I just didn't upload it. And the way to push people wasn't to tandem. It was for me to run an inch off his bumper and not touch him. And that was giving him a massive speed boost and keeping us at the optimal cruising speed. But the moment I tried pushing him, I just went nowhere and eventually damaged my front end. Which, when you go historically into ISI motor sims and even stuff like NASCAR 09 on the 360 and PS3, tandeming actually worked in that game. In fact, I would say it worked a little too well, to the point where online races were complete clusterfucks of just everyone slamming into each other. You know, there'd be 4 cars in a line just smashing each other and all kinds of crazy smoke, and Spark VFX would be playing because it worked too well. Madness stuff, tandeming doesn't work at all. So online racing, which would at least be the saving grace for this NASCAR content, right? Like, this game has a decent selection of oval tracks. Gateway, Fontana, Daytona, Indianapolis. Texas is unofficial mod track that was ported from PCARS 2. As well as a bunch of different American stock car road courses, you know. Sonoma's been converted. Watkins Glen, I believe, is DLC. Road America, Road Atlanta. Mossport, because the Truck Series races there. Sebring, which is used sometimes for testing or like vintage NASCAR series. There's a lot of content here that would make league racing a lot of fun with like a good group of 12 to 16 guys. but the actual on-track product, even online, you know, not dealing with this really poor AI experience, the package doesn't work online either for different reasons. So, like, my overall review of this after 100 laps, I don't like doing reviews or scores or stuff like that. But if you sat through the video this long and you want my honest opinions of what's going on, I'm getting a little annoyed at these smorgasbord buffet-style sims that just throw everything into the game, every type of racing you could think of, rallycross, super trucks, formula cars, touring cars, minor league open wheel, NASCAR, IndyCar. On the surface, it looks cool. And you know what, some road races are probably fun. But when you actually try and run decent length races, it feels like the content is just there to tick a box and get people excited, you know? It doesn't really feel like they tried to make this thing work as like an authentic oval racing experience. They just released it because it's like, okay, what's it cost to develop physics and sound and 3D models and 2D artwork for 3 different generations of NASCAR cars without paying a license? Oh, it costs that much? Well, that's cool. We'll develop it and probably make a return on investment because enough people will go, ooh, NASCAR, and dick around with it for 10 minutes compared to the cost it took to develop things. And that's, in my opinion, what this team and a couple other teams have been doing. And again, I'm not saying that to disparage people. That's why I'm uploading this raw. This is a full-distance, authentic setting Coke 0400 that they're going to run here at Daytona in about 4 or 5 months' time to end the NASCAR regular season. And these races are known for these chaotic pack racing. And they're in a pack the whole fucking time. And I was in a pack for 15 laps, 20 laps. But the pack itself doesn't have the AI cars drafting each other. They randomly choose lanes. They randomly choose when to pass each other, which slows them down. They also pit too early. And their setups aren't optimized to be running at full tilt. So if you put any work into a setup at all, or just know what you're doing for an NASCAR stock car, which the general setup trick is lower the rear end, get that spoiler out of any air possible, and don't have the car scrape. That's it. That's all you're doing. If you put any thought into actually sitting down being like, you know what, I'm going to run a NASCAR race in AMS2, and I'm actually going to try, you kick the ever-loving shit out of the AI at max difficulty. To the point where, I mean, like, this kind of race goes back to the 1970s, if not 1960s, where Richard Petty was basically the only factory works car on the grid, and would just shit stomp everybody. You know, there's a lot of controversy about Richard Petty's 7 championships. When you look at when he won them and how he won them and the factory backing he had, you know, he was essentially showing up to a national street stock series, as the only guy with factory backing. That's kind of what we're doing here. You know, you're showing up to AI that's running a baseline setup and can only go so fast against a guy who got a leaderboard set up and knows how to drive NASCAR and plan out his pit stops and even even the basic shit like hang out in the draft and save fuel. And even practicing the pit stop procedure. Not that pit stops are hard, but to lose as little time as possible, you should probably practice when to get on the brakes and try and time it so the car decelerates just to hit this pit road speed limit as you enter the pits. 50 to go. And I think we've lapped the whole field. We are 59 seconds ahead of second place. For reference, the lap around here is 48 seconds. We've lapped the whole field, and there's still basically a quarter of the race to go. At lap 120, we'll hit 75% distance. One thing I will say, that the no yellow stuff or the caution-free stuff. I do have yellows turned on, but the fact we've gone caution-free so far, just throwing this out there, has made this race go by much quicker. And I think when I streamed this same event in NASCAR Thunder 03 on PCSX2, I think we went caution-free there as well. I was driving as Robbie Gordon. And you know what? That race was actually a little more interesting. The AI put up a decent amount of a fight. I just did a really good job of saving fuel. Whereas this, I mean, it's fucking over, you know? It's been over for a long time. It just frustrates me that no sim racing content creator really did a test like this. All the videos I've seen online, I know I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, a little under the weather, are just people doing like 10 lap, 20 lap sprints. Just to kind of shovel the content out there. And say, yeah, this game has NASCAR stuff. If you like NASCAR and you want to sim, get this DLC. Whereas I'm sitting here being like, dude, I've been driving by myself for fucking 300 miles. You know? And then yesterday when I tried to run the 1992 race here, I won it in 15 laps because all the fucking AI cars retired. There's some sort of bug with those cars, the Gen 4 cars specifically, where if you run a race with them at Daytona, they don't go more than like 10 or 15 laps before they all start doing weird shit like pitting randomly. And then the 87 cars, you don't want to hear what happened with those. The car overheats the right rear tire in 5 laps. At least from my testing. And there's just really nothing you can do to fix it. I'd like to put more time into those cars. Maybe even do a road race with them. Because I gotta be honest, the road racing, at least the time trials and stuff I've done at Watkins Glen in these 3 stock cars they've released, I've actually had fun with them. And what I was doing behind the wheel made sense, even though AMS2 and PCARS 2 both have that, like, overly nimble feeling. What I was doing behind the wheel just generally made sense. And I was kind of having fun with it. Minute and 6 seconds ahead. Man, we're almost 2 laps ahead of everybody here. Should have ran this in NASCAR 03. So same thing, when I catch that pack in front of me that's just kind of off in the distance there, that'll be my final pit stop. And we just cruise to the end again, really. Because this car can absolutely go 40 laps on a tank of fuel. And everyone has to pit again anyway, right? Sorry. Told you I was sick. %75 distance, 100 miles to go. We'll get through that pretty fucking quickly. And 40 laps is really nothing here when you think about it. And you know what? I don't think I'm going to take tires. I don't think I need to. Which might be realistic, honestly. Check our pit strategy again. Same thing, no tires. 76 liters. Which, we don't need to fill it a full tank. We could try and save some time on pit road, but Oh, I guess we could. And off we go into the pits. And I missed pit stop because I basically have no brakes. There we go. Well, I'm glad we didn't put as much fuel in. Oh, and I just fucked myself. The pack is right there, and I gotta merge. Holy Christ. Almost leap-paged the field, but we're good. That little pit stop miscue of missing the pit stall, because there's essentially no brake pressure in the car. That negated the time I saved by not filling it to the max capacity. So we haven't really gained or lost overall. Now I would like to get ahead of these cars for sure. And we might be able to do it here. Look at the speed. Car's running nose to tail and then hitting the brakes. Good job. And that is our quickest lap of the race. $30 to go. And the leaders are pitting. Or not the leaders, but I should say second and third and lead pack of cars are pitting. Another thing I want to point out, this game does have live track technology, the dynamic rubber buildup from that we originally saw in Project Cars 2. There isn't any. Like, look at the track. Other than the prefab rubber texture that's part of the track surface texture, there's no rubber buildup anywhere. Is it even turned on? Like, where is it? So there's a feature that, at least from what I could see, doesn't work. Like here, there's rubber, but that's part of the track texture itself. You know, that's something the art team put there. The actual rubber groove that you'd see in like the Project Cars games, I don't see anywhere. And we're certainly wearing tires. I mean, look at the tire graph. Big send? Yeah, let's go. I mean, I'm blowing by these cars like they're standing still. And I also wonder if the AI have to take tires during their pit stop or not, because that could add to their total race time too, right? Just a couple seconds each pit stop, but it's a big deal here, right? I was going to try and cross them over, but they were on the pit exit line. My biggest hope is the tires last, but I think they will. Also worth noting, the pit exit is not where it should be. You know, they should be on the apron until the backstretch. But that's a small complaint compared to the big stuff. Right? Nice small pack of cars I can draft here. See how strong the draft is. So we usually top out at 189 by ourselves. And we're already hitting it now, so we're getting a tow from back here. Pretty impressive. Another small cluster of cars up here to draft off of. And we are 3/10 up on our quickest lap of the session. That's cool. And it's going to get even quicker here. Look at this. Big run. And I think we might be 2 laps up on the whole pack right now. $20 to go at the line. So 50 miles left. I'm glad I didn't do the Daytona 500, because this would have been torture. You only need 400 miles to get the point across here. That something is deeply, deeply amiss, unfortunately. Big send. says I need tires. Tires feel pretty good right now. I'm not grabbing tires, guys. There's fucking 14 laps to go. I mean, the left rear is kind of fucked, but it'll make it. I don't see why it wouldn't. Again, tires in Madness Engine sims, regardless of who develops them or what dev is behind them, they just don't wear. They get hot for sure, but they're almost treated like fuel, like an expendable resource. They're not this dynamic thing that evolves under you and gets shitty after a while. So you can just keep driving on them. Time to go. What the fuck is the yellow for? We finally got a yellow. And I don't really know where the safety car is, so... Okay. Cool. Pits are closed. Follow the safety car. Someone is fucking destroyed there. Now, I know better. Than to pause the game and watch a replay, because that's what broke my, what's it called? That's what broke my Indy 500 run. Pause the game, watch the replay to see what happened on the wreck. Get closer to your lead, okay? I feel like the tag over the car should change with the banking, but that's just me. Cool, that's gonna save us tires. Tires and fuel, I should say. Yeah, so when I ran the Indy 500 in AMS2, there was a wreck similar to this where I wanted to pause it and be like, what the fuck happened? I paused it, watched the replay, selected a different car, then resumed the race, and the camera stayed on the AI car when I went back to live gameplay, and it ruined my Indy 500 with like 4 laps to go. I was so pissed off. Well, and I can save fuel here too, with my non-existent fuel mix button. That is not good. Hope Dale's okay. Man, we're making such good time too, you know? Pits are open this lap. We don't need to. And we're 3 laps up on the field. 2 laps up on the field. It's convinced I need to pit. I don't. Doom scrolling through Instagram under yellow because there's nothing else to do. So I really don't know how the pitting process works here regarding, like, how many laps we're probably going to get under yellow. And we are still under yellow. So I'm going to assume we're on like 2 to green right now. But I can't really tell. Still wants me to pit for tires. Don't need to. So we're under caution with 5 to go here at the Coke 0400. Nothing's happening. We're leading by like 2, if not 3 entire laps. Safety cars are right now for a single car incident, I believe. Someone junked it in turn 4. And it was a natural wreck. I do have AI mistakes turned off. Because I don't think they're done very well in this game. It's too random, especially for NASCAR. For people to just be eating shit. They basically have a mechanic where, like, at random, an AI car will be triggered to spin out. And for NASCAR, especially here, people don't really self-spin. It's more of a pack racing incident. And it seems like we had a natural one. So it's kind of cool. Racing will resume at the end of this lap, so I have to be really careful. And make sure I get... make sure I get the start procedure right and don't, like, go over the speed limit or whatever. Because I could fuck up all my progress here. So we're on 1 to green. Seems we're just doing single file restarts. Which is not accurate, but I don't mind. You know, I'm of the opinion where, like, some rules it's okay if they're old school or not super accurate to what NASCAR does, because sometimes they're just Just makes for better racing, less chaotic racing, especially online. I don't know what speed I have to maintain. I know it's like 120 kilometers an hour. But I'm running miles an hour right now. So it'd be like 80 something. I guess it'd be this speed, right? I mean, you can push now. I guess we're green. You can push now. Must be the sign to just punch it. That's what I'm guessing, at least. 4 to go at the line. And I don't think we have overtime in this game. In the event we need it. But if we do, we have a ton of fuel anyway, so we're fine. Game still thinks I need tires, and is still telling me to pit and give up the lead with 3 laps to go. So the tire estimation is just way out of whack here. Three to go. Two to go. No, we're not pitting for tires. I can't even turn that off either. I'm trying to press the pit request button, and it doesn't disable it. It's stupid you need to request a pit stop. One to go. And it's over. Coke 0400 winner. That is the worst sim race I think I've ever done. Entire field is 2 laps down. AI has basically next to no pit strategy and fuck themselves over. They can't race in a pack. They can't draft. They check up and brake check each other at random. There's no rhyme or reason as to what they do in the pack. And if you build a setup, you are faster than them by yourself than they are in the pack because they can't draft. Atrocious looking lap times. I mean, we're a full second faster our best lap compared to theirs, so there's no draft in this game. We had one yellow. The yellow was actually organic, which I think was pretty cool. Total race time of 2 hours and 15 minutes. Could have been just at the 2-hour mark if we didn't have the late race yellow. But yeah, nothing about that experience was good. I raced it out to race it out and to be able to say I did a full distance race, and here it is. That was fucking atrocious. But thank you for tuning in. Now you know.